All right, and for more on the story, we're now joined by Veliswa Mphambani, Baba Nqobizitha, founder and chairperson of Custodians of Holistic Operations and Spiritual Initiatives. And she joins us now via our video link for more on this conversation. Veliswa, thank you so much for your time this evening here on SABC News. Now, as traditional healers, you have some issues which have been proposed in the health regulations. Perhaps maybe just bring us up to speed with some of the concerns that you have raised.
Our biggest problem is the secrecy of the indigenous systems. As it stands, we are compromised every time we have to add amagqirha izanuse abangoma in general. Every time we have to disclose most of our practices, they end up in foreign land. They get processed, they are brought back to South Africa, and they sold back to our people. Slowly and surely, it's depleting. The secrecy of the practice in itself is compromised. We need to safeguard that. That is our biggest problem. And also, the biggest problem that we have is the fact that the regulations were done without the involvement of traditional healers. So that's where the biggest problem is. There's a diversity when you come to traditional healers. You need to know who you're speaking to. You need to know how it affects them. Because the assumption that also when it comes to the fee, the assumption that every time we initiate abantwana betongo, they can afford to pay us is a distorted view. So the fees, the randomness of umntwana wetongo having to wake up being guided by their spirit guides and landing up at my doorstep and itongo demanding that ngimgajeke khona manje. Do I have to first go around loan for 5,000 that she herself or he herself himself could not afford to pay me? So these things have been done without consulting in reality how it could affect everybody else. Also when it comes to herbalists and everybody else. So we need to look at the intricacy of the whole things and the dynamics behind it. All we requested from the council, without dwelling too much on how it affects us, all we requested is that they go back to the people and involve the people. Because most of the people they are targeting are in remote areas. Most of the people are not educated, and they have not done that. Them calling us for a roadshow, 90 people in the Eastern Cape, for example, were called to the ICC. Out of the 300,000 traditional healers that did not even know what the regulations are. And the closing date was very close. And for them to put the duty of doing the awareness for them when we don't have resources, if they say claiming not to have resources and they get their funding from Parliament, where should we be getting the resources to do that job for them? We don't. We're small organizations, and everybody knows by the time it chooses you, it depletes you. Financially, health-wise, and other ways. So where are we supposed to get those resources? They need to go back to Parliament. And we had requested, we had even written to the Minister for Intervention. It was very shocking for us to even see the council putting it out there in media, saying that they are prepared to implement these regulations by January. When we have asked them to halt and relook how they have done things, when we have asked the minister to intervene, he has not responded to the hashtag movement. Who went and demonstrated to the minister, to the MECs, provincial. There was a shutdown by the traditional healers right through the country. The minister has not even bothered to respond to that.
And can something as sacred as spirituality really be regulated in the manner in which government has proposed?
That's the biggest challenge that we're talking about. How do you regulate spirituality in the first place? How do I prove to you ukuthi nginabantu abadala? How do I prove tangible evidence ukuthi you are being bewitched in the first place, for example? You know, we work in spirituality, we work in the spiritual realm, which is exactly why we have kept saying to them, you cannot do this without us. If you want regulations, we do not deny the fact that there are bogus healers out there that do bogus things that tarnish the image of traditional healers, that use body parts that we all know should not be used, and other things. We know that we need some type of regulation, but they need to know where the restrictions should be when it comes to spirituality. They need to know. And the only way to know that is to engage healers.
Are you against the entire bill, or looking at, you know, the interventions here being made? I mean, you mentioned the issue around bogus healers, and that's something that has gripped the country. You know, we've seen children even passing away, and allegations that, you know, body parts of children are being used. Would you say that this is also government's efforts of trying to protect the public and also trying to protect yourselves as spiritual healers?
We don't deny the efforts behind it. We understand what Thabo Mbeki's vision in 2007 was when he came up with the council, when he put the whole council into play. There was a reason why he requested that healers become part of the council, so that they figure out how they regulate the spiritual realm, which is a very difficult task, which they couldn't, as I said before, they cannot do without engaging the healers on the ground. And when we find our leaders that are sitting in the council coming back to province and telling us, when we tell them that you have not consulted us regarding this, you have not consulted our people, then they have the audacity to then respond that we are not obligated to respond or to account to you. That then means the council or the individuals that sit in the council are not for us. They have forgotten what their mandate is in the first place. That's where the biggest challenge, which is also the reason why we find ourselves at loggerheads at this point, where it should not be a difficult situation where we just sit and find solutions for this type of problems. We don't deny we need regulations. We're just saying we are against the exclusion of healers on regulations that affect healers.
All right. Thank you so much for your contribution, and just for elaborating a bit more further there when it comes to some of the issues that is of concern for those traditional healers in the country. That is Veliswa Mphambani. She is also known as Baba Nqobizitha. She's the founder and chairperson of Custodians of Holistic Operations and Spiritual Initiatives.